what great High Point University water. I don't know why I did that. Hello, my name is Brian Hagney, instructor of communication at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina. So this is hopefully going to be the last one, but this is the most annoying video to do. As I say, I love Unreal Engine. I love Epic Games. I think they're wonderful. They're great, good games, but great people. And a great engine. I gotta say, this is one of my favorite engines to work in. But communicating between communicating between blueprints and widgets can make you crazy. It can make me crazy. You know, some game engines, hey, you can just pop up something on the user interface, you know, write it to the screen fairly easily and reference some game variables and things like that. Oh, here it's a little bit trickier. So that's what this last video is reserved for. We've got all of the steps, we've got all the components, but now what we're going to do is kind of communicate between all of them. So we've got a heads-up display, we've got a character blueprint that comes with the first-person shooter example. So if you go into first-person BP under blueprints, hey, we've got a first-person character. That blueprint, we haven't gone in it yet in this series, but many videos for Unreal Engine go into the first-person character blueprint. There's a lot of amazing, cool things with the first-person character blueprint. We are not going to even get into that right now. We are going to skip. We're going to skip into actually the HUD first is what I want to do, the heads-up display in the widget. So again, we've got the first-person character, we've got the level blueprint, which we're going to get into in a moment, and then we've got the UMG UI widget, which we're going to use for a heads-up display. So we already say, hey, when we construct, we're going to set visibility of that image to invisible, or to hidden, sorry. In visibility, that's funny. The next thing I want to do is I need to bind I need to bind my HUD together with my first-person character. And the way I'm going to connect all of these blueprints together, which it's crazy that you just can't do it by default, but whatever, maybe there's a good reason. I am going to create an event dispatcher in my first-person character blueprint. Down here under first-person character blueprint, you see the event dispatchers. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this one Key Getter. It's just going to be called Key Getter because that's what I have. That makes sense. And so now that I have that, I'm going to compile and save it. Don't think about not compiling it. Compile it, save it, and go to your HUD. Okay. Now, in the HUD, what we're going to need to do is get player controller. So I'm going to right-click and just get player controller first. Get player controller. Okay, when we can get that, what we're going to do from here, pull out from return value and say cast to... Why aren't you casting to first-person character? Uh-oh. Okay, compile this. Cast to... Okay, so it's not working. So maybe what I'll do is type in cast to first-person. Yay! There it is. So, sorry, don't pull off return value from get player controller, because that's obviously not going to work. Of course, unless we uncheck context sensitive, cast to first person controller. There we go. First person character, sorry. There. And then what we're going to do is what's known as a right click the cast you just pulled out and say convert to pure cast. Convert to impure cast. Convert to pure cast. So it just casts it instead of needing a node or an executable to go through, an execute command. And from there, we are going to let's click and drag out and say bind to, do I need to context sensitive that? What do I need to do? I need to compile this now. Bind event, bind event to, and I called, this is where we're going to go to the dispatcher, and I called that dispatcher key, right? Key getter. Bind event to key getter. Bind event to key getter. And so what's going to happen is we're just going to execute that right after set visibility. So it's going to construct the heads-up display widget. It's going to set visibility of the image, of the key, and it's going to bind the event key getter to bind key getter to an event, right? And that event has not been made yet. And let's create an event. So I'm going to right-click anywhere in here, and I'm going to type in custom event, add custom event. And this is going to be called key, key display. Now this custom event, what it's going to do is I'm going to grab this image one again, and I'm going to pull out the node and say set visibility, and I'm going to set it to visible. So this key display custom event is going to just set that to be visible. So how does it know when we set that in the heads-up display? Well, we're going to connect this key display custom event to that event, and now they're bound. And if I compile it, warning, what is this? Oh, this is funny. Will always fail. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops, sorry. I said get player controller. Delete that. That should be get player character. Sorry. Okay, this little piece was get player character, and I'm going to compile that. Now it's perfect. Yay. Yay. And if I want to be really neat about this, I'm going to select this, type C, and say binder. But you know what? I don't have time to do this in this little video. I want to go be pretty quick. Of course, we can compile that, save it, and nothing will work yet. What I need to do is say, you know what? When I go to my first-person character, okay, I want to say when the actor begins to overlap when the actor begins to overlap this, well, this thing, come on, select you. Okay, there we are. Trigger box 4. And you know what? I'm going to rename that to trigger box key. There. Now its name is trigger box key. So when I go to, that's relevant for a reason. Uh-oh. Which one am I on? This one. Yep. When I'm on here, this is the first person character, by the way. When I click on the right click and say, here's the annoying thing. I now cannot reference, it's not that annoying, I can't reference that thing in the event or in the scene for the player character. So I'm going to add event actor begin overlap. Now that has nothing, like that doesn't know what it's overlapping. It's just overlapping anything. When any actor overlaps anything, or when I guess this is related to me, when I overlap anything, it's going to do something. And so what I want to do is kind of get the name of that other thing, the other actor. So I'm going to say get object name. Whoops. Get object. No, not get object class. I want to get object name. Get object name. And what I'm going to do is say a branch from on actor begin overlap, because I really want an if-then statement. And the then statement is going to be if object name equals, so I'm going to drag a node off of the get object name, equals, and it's going to be an equal string. If object name equals, then I'm going to write the name of the key trigger, trigger box key. Sure. And that condition, if that's true, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that dispatcher, key getter. Drag that out, that dispatcher, I'm going to call it. So if it's true, I'm going to call that dispatcher. Now, doing that, have I done that in 11 minutes? Okay, that's good. I want to keep it under 15 minutes. Save it. What that's going to do, I hope that works. So I actually have bound my heads-up display. Let me go this way. When I overlap that, it should actually show the key in my top left. Yay. Good, it did that. Because it was bound. What it doesn't do is take away the key here. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I've got to actually connect to my my level, my first person I have to connect with my first person example map. And it's the same thing. As we event begin play, what we have to do is we have to say get player character. We have to cast to first person character, right click that, say convert to pure cast. And then from here, we need to bind event to, what was that called? Key getter. Okay. And so we're going to do that same thing on the event begin play. We can drag it, it's got to go in order. It's got to do one thing after the other. So I'll do this after add to viewport. Of course, what event are we going to add to it? Well, guess what? We're going to call this event, first of all, do a custom event, add custom event, and I'm going to call this delete key. Because what it's going to do is it's going to take this key, which now that I'm in my level blueprint, I can right click and create a reference for plane 2. Oops, I wish I had called it key. And can I destroy that actor? I don't know. Let's destroy it. Destroy actor! I'll never need it again. Maybe that's the case. Destroy actor. So when I hit the delete key, and that event is going to be tied to the binding. Compile it. Save it. Now, hopefully, if I do this right, if I did this right, I will both see the key and it will destroy it. Yay! I did it. Okay. So that's it. If you have any questions, we'll watch the video again. And that is working with widgets, working with user interfaces, and working with binding to communicate between these wonderful, gosh, darn wonderful, beautiful blueprints. Because communicating between the widgets, the UI widgets, the character blueprints, and the level blueprints can be pretty frustrating. But this way of doing it with these binding and casting seems to work pretty well. It's a little tricky to go through, like, writing up, different conditions and branches, but it's pretty cool. So, alright, bye-bye. Have a good time.